Hello, so we are reviewing how to graph inequalities. You're going to graph two on the same graph though, which is a little different. But this is number 6 on page 29. So page 29, number 6. So here's the two inequalities, and we're going to graph both of them here and shade the intersection of the two to find the solution of the system. So it is review, but I want to remind you how to graph inequalities as well. The easiest way to graph inequalities is to always solve for y right away. So I'm going to solve for y for this one first, and then talk to you about how to graph this on the coordinate plane. So there's my inequality. If I want to solve for y, the first thing I need to do is subtract 3x from both sides. Once I've done that, got 2y's on its own over here, and then on the right side, I've got negative 3x minus 2. Okay, so now I need y by itself, so I'm going to divide 2 by both sides. Everything, right? Make sure everything gets divided by 2. You're left with y is greater than or equal to, and then I just said negative 3 divided by 2 is negative 3 over 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So that's going to be the inequality that we're going to graph over here. So we're going to graph it like as if it's just an equal sign. So that means that this is my y-intercept and this is my slope. I also know, because this is greater than or equal to, that this will be a solid line. So remember, if it's equal to, that means it's included. So I'm going to get a line and first plot the 2 points. I'm going to plot negative 1 as my y-intercept. And then from there, I have to use the slope to plot another point. So I'm going to go from negative 1 down 3 to the right 2. 1, 2, 3, to the right 2. And now I'm going to draw a solid line through those two. I'm just looking for a line that has arrows on both sides. Okay. So I'm going to draw this line through those 2 points. Let me fix it. There we go. Okay, so it's a solid line because it's greater than or equal to. Now notice, it's greater than or equal to, which means I'm going to shade above this line. So when we're graphing an inequality, we don't just have the solutions that are on the line, we have all the solutions that are above that line will satisfy the inequality. So I'm just going to kind of tell myself, remind myself that I'm going to be shading above. But I'm not going to shade yet because I'm going to solve the other inequality first. So just a reminder, so it's a solid line because it's greater than or equal to, and I'm going to shade above because it's greater than. Okay, so for the other equation, or inequality, sorry, give me a sec, hang on, let me move some stuff over. There we go. I'm going to solve for y again. So first, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. That leaves me with 2y is less than negative x plus 2. Then to get that 2 out of the way, I divide 2 on both sides. And my final inequality will be y is less than negative 1/2 x plus 1. In this case, if you notice, there's no equal to, so I'm actually going to use a dashed line. So yeah, there's your y-intercept, there's your slope. I'm going to use a dashed line because it's not included, okay? And then since it's less than, I'm going to shade below. Okay, so I'm going to plot that line using the y-intercept and the slope. I don't know why I put negative 3/2. Silly. I meant negative 1/2. Boop. See, here's a dashed line. I'll use a different color. It'll be dashed. Good. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start at the y-intercept of 1, and then use the slope to move down 1 over 2. And now I can graph my line that will be dashed through those 2 points. I'm just extending it. There we go. And remember, since it's less than, I'm going to shade below this line. So I'm going to remind myself, go below, shading below the line. And the final solution to this is going to be where these two shading, the shading for both lines intersect. So it's going to be this part right here. So to show you what that looks like on the paper, here it is. So above that purple solid line, that was my first inequality, because it was greater than or equal to, it was above. And then this pink line was the one we just did. It's dashed because it was not equal to, just less than, and it's shaded below because it's less than. Where those two intersect is the only place I'm actually going to color. That's my solution set.